start over in the very biggest way.
I've dated a little bit. Definitely not interested in polygamy again.
Will you accept me as a monogamist?
It's not what I wanted.
Just watch the episode where Axel is born. Meri wasn't there because she felt unwelcome. And then Christine has the nerve to turn around and say how awful it was that Meri wasn't at the birth. But wait, here's the twist. Christine also admits that if Meri had gone, she wouldn't have felt safe. Apparently, Meri brings some bristles with her, as though she's walking into a room like a porcupine, and she looks like a beaten dog, a child who's been scolded one too many times. It's painful to watch. I'm not here to defend Meri, but let's be honest, throughout so many episodes, she's the one who actually seems to be having fun. She's the one sledding with the kids, going ice blocking, and honestly, just trying to be part of the family. Sure, she's a neat freak, but she doesn't explode over every little thing like Robyn or Christine do. It's almost like the other adults treat her like she's beneath them, only tolerating her presence and speaking to her with this matter-of-fact attitude. We've heard about Meri being too strict about her kitchen or not wanting everyone to trample through her house when they were in Lehi. But seriously, what did Meri actually do to deserve being treated like this? They're so vague about it all. Kody says he didn't feel safe with her, but there's got to be more to that story. So, what did Meri do all those years ago? Well, if we look at how polygamy works in the context of one family living under the same roof, especially when it's religiously enforced, things get complicated. The family is basically forced to confront their jealousy, overcome it, and be selfless for the afterlife. Sounds like a nice fairy tale, right? Except what usually happens is that the family builds a narrative against one person, a scapegoat. At some point, that person becomes the source of everything that's wrong. Suddenly, anything they say is wrong. They're shunned. Now, I'm not going to pretend Meri was some angel. I'm sure she was tough to live with. She was overt about her issues, and that made her the target. The label of toxic got slapped on her, and she couldn't shake it, even though we've seen everyone else act out in toxic ways too. The reality is that they were all playing manipulation games and trying to one-up each other. But because Meri was the loudest in her expression of frustration, she became the family pariah. Let's be real, as much as Kody wanted everyone to bow down to Robyn, he just as desperately wanted them to shun Meri. Christine and Janelle earned favor with Kody by treating Meri like trash, and they were totally fine with it because Meri was the scapegoat. It's wild how people forget just how awful Christine and Janelle treated her, sometimes even worse than she treated them. And don't buy into the whole Christine and Janelle are saints narrative. These two didn't even get along until, 2 years ago? They had their own issues with Meri, and Meri had her own issues with them. But somehow, Meri is the only one who's held accountable for her actions. Meanwhile, the other wives, sometimes even Robyn, get a free pass because of the abuse they suffered from Kody. And I get it, the whole catfish incident gave everyone the perfect excuse to treat Meri like garbage for years, all without consequences. A lot of fans think Meri deserved it for trying to leave the family, but let's not forget, she wasn't the only one abused by Kody. So let's cut the drama for a second. Yes, Meri was a handful, but so were the rest of them. The real issue here is how they all enabled each other's toxic behavior and turned Meri into the family punching bag. We've got so much to dive into today, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump straight into it. Hey everyone, what's up? It's Elena here, and welcome back to my channel Reality Nexus X. Rewatching the coronavirus-era episodes, it's clear just how much Christine's emotional detachment from the family begins to solidify. The pivotal moment? Kody suggesting that Isabel, his teenage daughter, should travel across the country to undergo life-altering surgery alone. That suggestion was outrageous the first time around, but watching it back-to-back, it hits harder. Christine's growing disillusionment is so much more obvious when binge-watching. By episode 13, she's emotionally checked out. She hasn't said it outright yet, but it's written all over her face. She's done. Christine later shared that her trip to New Jersey for Yisabel's surgery was a transformative moment for her. Staying at one of her sister's homes for a month, she managed everything on her own. It was heartbreaking that Yisabel didn't have her father there, but Christine realized she could handle it. She didn't need Kody. That realization was both empowering and heartbreaking. It planted the seed for what would ultimately be her decision to leave. Kody, meanwhile, showed his true colors in that situation. Suggesting Yisabel go alone wasn't just careless, it was cruel. Janelle, bless her heart, even offered to pitch a tent in Christine's backyard just to help, showing the lengths she was willing to go to for family. And Kody? His response was all about his own convenience. It's hard to think of a better example of a ride-or-die friend, Janelle, and a truly lousy father, Kody, than this moment. This was when it all started unraveling. Christine knew she couldn't rely on Kody anymore, not as a husband, not as a father. And honestly, who could blame her? Kody doesn't love Robyn. Change my mind. The evidence? Kody has been using Robyn as a human shield since the day they got married. Can't show affection to the other wives? Blame Robyn. She said not to. Can't stay overnight or spend more than a few hours at the other wives' houses. Oh, well, Robyn needs help getting the kids ready for school. Still stringing Meri along after all these years. That's because Robyn insists Kody wait for God to grant him feelings for Meri, feelings that clearly never existed. Time after time, Kody's bad behavior is excused by pointing the finger at Robyn, creating resentment in the other wives and children. But let's ask the critical question: why would Kody put someone he supposedly loves in such a difficult, thankless position? If he truly loved Robyn, he wouldn't keep throwing her under the bus to avoid accountability. A loving partner wouldn't sacrifice their spouse's reputation to save face with others. No, Kody doesn't love Robyn. He uses her, just like he used Janelle and Christine, to emotionally buffer himself from Meri. This is a pattern. To be fair, Robyn isn't innocent in all of this. She's playing the game too, leveraging the situation to her own advantage. But the claim that Kody loves her as much as he professes, that doesn't hold up under scrutiny. Kody has never demonstrated the kind of selflessness or empathy required to truly love anyone. A man who repeatedly abandons his children, his own kids, proves he isn't capable of the deep, enduring love he pretends to give. True love isn't about convenience. Parents who are estranged from their kids often move heaven and earth to repair the relationship. They'll crawl through broken glass to make amends. Kody? He shrugs, blames others, and moves on. That's not love, that's brokenness. Kody was never cut out to be a husband, much less a father. His selfishness and narcissism disqualify him from either role. The lengths he goes to accommodate Robyn's every whim, alienating the rest of his family, and driving himself into financial ruin, aren't acts of love. They're acts of desperation to maintain his crumbling image as the patriarch. The truth is, Kody has been hiding behind Robyn, not cherishing her. He doesn't love Robyn. He loves the excuse she provides. And deep down, I think she knows it too. Robyn is once again revealing things about herself. They're discussing the plans for the new house. Robyn mentions that Solomon got confused when Kody kept saying, my space, my space, my house, and that Solomon supposedly asked, is Dad going to move out of our house? Is he going to have a house I have to visit him in? If it's true that Kody doesn't spend all his time at Robyn's house, wouldn't Solomon be used to Kody leaving and already know that Kody has other homes? It seems Robyn made that comment to make him feel guilty because she didn't want him to have his own space where he could escape from her. So I just watched a clip of Tony and Mykelti talking about the list of things Meri had to do before Kody would consider getting back together with her. According to them, it's all complete nonsense. Tony, being his usual charming self, sarcastically throws out, "What? Like, don't cheat on your husband." And then Mykelti just flat out says she doesn't believe it. Honestly, I'm not sure either of them has a clue about what's really going on. It's pretty obvious they can't stand Meri and seem to jump at every chance to take a dig at her. In fact, Mykelti's already said she'll never have anything to do with Meri again, because Meri was apparently abusive toward her. But now, here's Mykelti saying she doesn't buy the whole Meri cheated story. Really? You'd think if Mykelti wanted to keep bashing Meri, she'd at least say she thinks Meri did cheat, given how much she loves pointing out Meri's flaws. Meanwhile, we've all seen Kody on camera, telling Meri to court him and suggesting Flagstaff could be a fresh start for their relationship. Seriously? He's been leading her on and sending mixed signals for years, and now Tony and Mykelti want us to believe it was all Meri's fault. I have zero doubt Meri's telling the truth. Maybe the list wasn't written out, but Kody admitted to Christine that he told her she had to play nice with the other wives, especially Robyn, if she wanted his love. So yeah, that definitely happened. Meri's been bending over backward trying to please Robyn for ages, and it's clearly done nothing to win Kody's favor. Bottom line, Kody is a liar. Tony and Mykelti, they're just hoping to score more followers with their take on all this drama. Unpopular opinion, but I think Christine is seriously immature. I know she's got a huge fan base, but the more I see, the more it makes me cringe. Honestly, she acts like a love-struck 15-year-old whose entire personality revolves around her David. It's all she ever talks about, nothing else even registers, and the oversharing with her kids, it's uncomfortable to watch. You can see how awkward they are. I feel for them. She really needs to grow up. But okay, maybe this is the popular opinion. I don't really disagree with it. Still, part of me says, good for her. She's never really experienced being in love or being loved back. That kind of affection was never in the cards for her before. She came from a strict, puritanical background, married a man she shared with 3 other wives, and spent years with someone who barely tolerated her. Add in the emotional and financial abuse, and no wonder she's acting like a lovesick teenager. She's finally feeling what it's like to be adored, and she deserves it. Most of her kids are grown-ups now. The only one left at home is a teenager who gets to witness what real love looks like. Christine made a huge move by leaving Kody and choosing herself, which is a pretty powerful message to her kids. So honestly, what's the problem? I was a huge fan of Christine back when she left Kody. You could tell she had really worked through some deep stuff in therapy. She showed so much grace, self-control, and empathy. Those moments felt raw and real. This new version of Christine, though, it reminds me of the old her, the one who was all about convincing everyone how happy she was, crafting a fairy tale version of her life. It's just not as genuine anymore. And now, she's back to ignoring her kids' concerns. That's my biggest issue with her lately. I really thought she had grown past that. I miss the old Christine, the one who was actually listening. Here's a theory about Kody and Meri. A lot of people think his tears are just a ploy to reel Meri back in for financial reasons, but we'll never know for sure unless he admits it. Personally, I have 2 other theories I'm considering. First, maybe he's using his emotions to try to redeem himself. The guy knows everyone hates him right now, so maybe he's desperately reaching for any way to gain a little bit of sympathy or likability back. But the second theory, that one's more interesting. Since Meri left, Kody's spent time with her away from Robyn and the kids. Meri's clearly happier, more relaxed, and maybe even rediscovering the fun, carefree spirit she had when this family first formed. And Kody's been around her during that time. It's possible that seeing her like this is triggering his own nostalgia for the good times, back when they were playful and seemed like best friends. In the beginning, he truly loved Meri. Maybe being around this new, happier version of her is bringing back memories of the man he used to be. the charismatic guy at the start of the family. He could deny it all he wants, but I think deep down, he's mourning not just Meri, but the version of himself that was more joyful and less emotionally closed off. Of course, I also think some of it was performative. He probably made sure he was positioned just right for the camera. But there's a part of me that thinks he genuinely did have some real emotions in that moment. After all, in all 3 of his divorces, he's been holed up in the McMansion, angry from a distance, rarely showing any vulnerability. Just like how production probably played a role in Kody pushing the snowblower for Christine, I think they had a hand in orchestrating his emotional moment here too. It's the first time he's had a real chance to live in his feelings, even if it's for the cameras. And ironically, Meri leaving might be the final nail in the coffin for his polygamous lifestyle. Kody's always been kind of self-centered, and I think he's truly baffled that the wives didn't just stay on the shelves waiting for him, like Meri did for so long. I've caught Robyn and her kids mocking Kody on camera a few times now. Nothing too obvious, but it's clear enough. He'll act like a total idiot, and they'll exchange quick glances or smirks. Robyn and Brianna especially seem to share these little moments of amusement. It makes me wonder what they say behind his back when the cameras aren't rolling. The OG wives never did that to him, yet somehow they're still labeled as the disloyal ones. It really feels like Robyn has a lot of contempt for him now. I think she might have been in love with him at the start, but now he probably just annoys the hell out of her. She tolerates him because he takes care of her financially, but honestly, I think she's over him most of the time. The agonizing delay and lack of a clear timeline this season have been talked about to death, but honestly, the editing and overall structure of this season are just so repetitive. Every episode feels like a carbon copy of the last. The editors keep replaying the same scenes of Christine going through her timeline, meeting in person, their first date, house hunting, over and over, like we haven't seen it 5 times already. Then there's the kids constantly commenting on how fast things are moving, followed by Christine saying it's moving fast. Why do we need this nauseating justification? She's a grown woman, hasn't been in a real relationship in ages, and is perfectly capable of making her own decisions. And the timeline choice? Showing Meri actively moving out one moment, and then announcing it in the next episode. So lazy. Honestly, I'd love it if someone went back through the archives and calculated the ratio of talking head segments to real, actual footage over the seasons. The last few seasons have been nothing but talking heads, repeating the same lines over and over. The moments where we actually see some real interaction between the family are so rare, and when they do happen, it's usually so obviously staged by the producers and then cut with even more talking heads and zero spontaneous conversation. It's like a dumpster fire I can't look away from. I'm rewatching season 17, episode 1, where Kody and Christine sit down to talk about their separation and Christine wanting to move to Utah. There are a lot of moments in these episodes that I can just skip over when things get too intense or uncomfortable, but this particular episode has me stuck. At one point, Kody says she's not taking accountability for the fact that the jealousy she feels for the other wives has to do with the faults in her and I's relationship. Watching this on a rewatch binge is almost comical because it's so obvious he's lying through his teeth to make a point that isn't true. I distinctly remember Christine saying that exact thing a few seasons ago, sitting on the couch, and Kody just sucking his teeth and staying silent. That moment stuck with me so clearly that my husband and I both went, eesh, at the awkward silence. It was brutal. Christine's been consistent. She's always said she understood why she was jealous. But Kody? He just wants her to apologize for it because of their messed up dynamic. The way they throw around words like safe, accountability, and other terms like that is just so twisted and misused. It's like they're speaking a different language and no one's on the same page. It's kind of strange that everyone's acting like Christine and David are rushing things, especially when you think about Kody's history. He married wives after just a few weeks of dating, sometimes after just one date or a couple of months. The longest courtship was with Robyn, and that lasted, 6 months? So honestly, the whole rushing thing feels a little manufactured for drama. In their culture, this type of fast-paced relationship progression should be pretty normal by now. One theory I have is that maybe they feel like they need to be married to have sex, which is why they're talking about getting married, even though they aren't engaged yet. That whole situation is what I find weird. Why the rush if they haven't even taken that step yet? Christine's kids, though, are the only ones who've really commented on it, and it makes sense. They weren't raised in that polygamous culture and have pretty much rejected it. They've been living outside of it for so long and have a much clearer understanding of the real world and its dangers, especially with a 12-year-old sister involved. Honestly, they seem way more mature and aware of the consequences than Christine does. Or maybe she just doesn't care at this point. Could Robyn pull a Meri and choose another wife for Kody? It's an interesting question. Robyn has always managed to take care of her best customer, Kody, while the other wives have had to deal with his antics. But would she follow in Meri's footsteps and bring in someone else to fill that spot so she can get back to shining in Kody's eyes? It's hard to say, but there was that one moment when she told him she was losing respect for him. You can see it. She's clearly more and more exasperated with him. Exasperated is probably the nicest word I can use here. Haha, I'm sure Kody wouldn't actively seek another wife though, because he seems to be in love with her, but who knows with him? The whole thing with them moving into a new place, especially now that the kids are old enough to move out, feels odd, like they're gearing up for something. Honestly, the only way I could see them keeping Kody&Robyn around for future seasons would be if they introduced a new wife or two. That would definitely shake things up, that's for sure. Now, about Meri not bringing Robyn into the family. That was a straight-up lie to cover up what really happened. Kody found a new piece, and he was all in. That's the truth of it. As for Robyn ever wanting to bring in another wife, I don't think she would risk someone else stealing Kody's attention. Plus, the church they belong to won't approve of any more wives after they allowed Meri to leave on the grounds of abandonment. That's why Kody's so upset about Meri seeking approval from the church. It pretty much kills any hope he has for adding another wife to the mix, at least according to their beliefs. Doesn't mean they'll always follow the church's rules, though. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and much love to you all.